All right, hello once again. This is Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College, and I think it's time to talk a little more in depth about jQuery. So I have several different articles here, and I'll try to make sure I also provide a running list of what the URLs are. So if you're interested, you'd be able to look. Here's the first one. This is right from basically the jQuery site, and it's from learnjQuery.com/about-jQuery/how jQuery works. It's a fairly short article, and they say this is a basic tutorial designed to help you get started using jQuery. If you don't have a typical page set up yet, they tell you to set one up. I'm going to use their page, but I am going to make a couple changes to it. So let me come in here and put in this. So there's our page, but where they have this, the jQuery, all right, I'm going to go and actually, yeah, that's okay. But this source right here, I'm going to use a CDN, a Content Delivery Network. So I'm going to go and grab the Google jQuery CDN. All right, and what that should do is that should give us, and I like I wanted to use the one from Google. I think that one will work. Heck, let's just grab all of this. Remember, the advantage of using the CDN here from Google is the fact that I don't have to worry about loading it. It'll automatically be loaded into the system. The disadvantage is that in order to do that, I will need to have an internet connection. So let's save this, and we'll save it to the desktop, and we'll just call it jQuery.js. And I'll keep making some changes to it as I need to. And I didn't want to call it jQuery, and I overrode something too. Okay, so let's try it again. That's going to be jQuery.html. Yeah, okay, there it is. Okay, and so your code goes here. All right, so right now, this says demo. This should run, but it shouldn't do anything. Okay, I do have a hyperlink up there that says jQuery on it, so I guess I'm wrong. So that's what's there. And that's fine, not a problem. Should have realized that. Yeah, that was there. So let's continue on. The source attribute in the script element must point to a copy of jQuery. So I did use it, but I did it using a CDN. All right. To ensure that the code runs when the browser finishes loading, many JavaScript programmers wrap their code in an onload function. Now, the problem with using the onload function is it runs, and it may run before the entire site has been loaded into the system, including any images or other things that you want to be able to manipulate right away with jQuery. So jQuery instead uses a statement like this. So I'm going to grab that statement, and I'm going to paste it into the bottom. I'm going to paste it into the bottom of our body section. And I shouldn't have that script tag there. So I'm going to paste it down there. And again, it's not going to work right now because I do have to surround it with script tags. Okay. So I'm doing that right now, as you can see. And what should happen now, if I go back to here, is absolutely nothing, because I haven't put any jQuery code in yet. All right, so there's a start. The jQuery library exposes its methods and properties using two properties. Yeah, this, the $, is an alias for jQuery. The reason I'm mentioning that is sometimes you see people write it like this, which will work also. I don't see any advantage to doing that at all, just because It's a lot easier to type, oops, it's a lot easier to type in just a single character as opposed to 6 characters. All right. All right, for example, inside the ready event, you can add a click handler to the link. What does this say? This says find all anchor links. When you click on an anchor link, run this function. Have an alert that says thanks for visiting. So let's see if that's the first bit of jQuery code we're going to put in there, and let's see if that indeed works. Now, I'm telling you this is me speaking, so you may or may not agree with what I'm about to say. But to me, it is of paramount importance that you really and truly line things up when you're working in here. And I've tried to do that right here, and hopefully I've done a decent job. So again, what this says is, once the document is ready, once it's ready to be processed, then find all anchor links. When they're clicked on, call this function. The function is an anonymous function because doesn't have a name. So it should bring up an alert that says thanks for visiting when we click the hyperlink, if indeed we did it correctly. There it is. Now that may not seem like much. It did bring us there, but I'm also going to put one more hyperlink in here. All right, I don't have to do this, but I'm going to anyway just to show you. In fact, we'll put in 3 of them. Let's put in one here that goes to rankin.edu, and this will say Rankin Technical College. We'll put in a line break here. How about a couple of them? And a couple of them here. All right, and we'll have another one here that'll just go to Google. Again, no real interface, so to speak, just 3. But notice if I click on any of them now, thanks for visiting, and boom, I should go to Google. All right, good. Thanks for visiting, and boom. I should have gone to, there it goes. I go to Rankin. So again, what that has said is we can now have as many links on our page as we want to. All right, we can have as many links on our page as we want to or need to have, and now every time we click them, we're going to go to that link, and we're going to get an alert that comes up that says thanks for visiting. All right, for click and most other events, you can prevent the default behavior, all right, in the event by doing this. As you can see, the link no longer took you to the code. So I'm going to grab the code that's here, copy it. I like to keep the old code in here, so I'm just going to comment it out. So that's still in there if I do want to go use it again later, look at it later, or whatever. But now, the key thing is, this alert comes up, but the alert doesn't mean diddly. What's important here is the event.preventDefault. The default action when you click on a hyperlink is to go to the site. But now I'm telling it to turn off the default action. So now when I click on any of the links, going back to the same thing I was just at here, as you can see, the link no longer took you to jQuery.com. Now this will say the same message, but you get the idea. I'm turning off the default action now. So a prevent default, quite often when you use that, is exactly for what I just showed you. In other words, quite often when you use the prevent default, it's make sure if you click a hyperlink that you don't go there unless perhaps maybe some criteria is met. All right, so this is the complete example. I'm not going to go over that because you've already got it. All right. You must place the remaining jQuery examples in the ready event, even though they're not going to show the ready event. It says first let's add some style information into the heading. I don't know why they're doing this, but I'm just trying to be consistent with what's in the document here. So what they're saying is we're going to have an anchor link with a class of test, and for that anchor link we want it to be bold, which is fine. No big thing about that. Next, add the following class to your script. Now it says to every anchor link, add a class of test, okay, which should make the font weight bold. Let's do one more thing. Let's say font size. Let's set that to 2 so make it double its regular size. And let's set the font family to cursive. All right. So now we're going to come in here, okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this code right at the beginning, which says to all anchor links, add the class test. I'm now going to uncomment this, all right, but I am going to comment out the one that we just put in that turned everything off. It doesn't matter. I don't know if they tell you to do it like that in the book or not. It's no biggie. All right, you should immediately see some changes in here, such as this should be double the size. And you note that it is. All right, when I click it in now, thanks for visiting. Okay, and it puts me there. Thanks for visiting, and it puts me there. Should. Takes a second. Thanks for visiting, and it puts me there. That's good. The reason that I bolded that is now I'm going to take the bolding off because I want you to see that what happened. Now, notice when I refresh, it's no longer bolded. And if you still are having a hard time, because sometimes it's kind of hard to see those changes, let's put it back in. All right. Now, this is going to be real big, but let's make it 4M, and we'll make it Times New Roman. So it should be double the size it was, and the font type should change. Okay? Again, that's hopefully is pretty obvious when you take a look there, just exactly what's going on. All right. Special effects. Okay? Now, when we click it, it should hide. But it should hide slowly. All right? Notice in here, since we want to hide it, the prevent default is probably good because otherwise you wouldn't even notice that anything had happened. So let's just bring in this code right here. Now I'm commenting out everything that I had in. So both of these are commented out. Now let's put this in. All right, so notice we first said the prevent default, and then we did the this.hide slow. So let's see if indeed that works. I'm going to refresh, click. Well, I did the prevent default. Not sure why it didn't, but it didn't, and it didn't. Did I save? Yes, I saved. Then the link slowly disappears when clicked. Well, I thought that's what would happen. Let's comment out. Well, let's just work with that single link, the one that the authors told us to work with. Okay. So we should be back to just our one link. There it is. But the prevent default is not working. I don't know why we would have to get rid of this. There's nothing in there that should keep that from working, but you never know. Oh, it's got to be in our, it's not an already event anymore, folks. So we can keep that class in there. That sure isn't going to hurt anything. It's just going to make it bold. In fact, that worked, but that should have been in there too. Okay, so let me grab all of this. Not even sure why that original one worked, but let's go and we'll comment out again. All of this is what I want commented out. All right. So I want that commented out. Let's try that again. I want all this commented out. Prevent default, hide slow. All right. So I want all of this commented out. Okay, I should be really adding the class. I should be doing that in my document.ready. So I'm going to clean it up. So if we did this correctly now, and this is commented out, it shouldn't be. There we go. All right, when the document loads, we should immediately add our CSS class of test. We should prevent the default, which means when we click the hyperlink, nothing should happen, other than it should fade out slowly. So now let's see if it works. Refresh. Huh. So I believe now everything's correct. Event.prevent default. Oh, I need event there. That probably is going to be what the problem was, but let's see. Document.ready. You know what? This is not where that ready goes. What I need is this line. So what I need here is to say, okay, when I click this, make sure the default doesn't happen. Again, which would be to go to that hyperlink and have it fade out slowly. This should be correct now. There we go. So, just to show you something they're going to show later, you can also do what's called chaining. So now I can put dot, oops, dot, how about fade in slow? Okay, if I did it right, it should fade out and then fade back in again. Let's see. There you go. Just to show you some of the animation effects that you can do. All right, you can also work with what's called a callback function. All right, with a callback, the reason that this is important is when you do a callback, what you're saying is when everything finishes, you want something else to happen. All right, so let's try this. And again, I'm doing this off the top of my head. Could have a problem with it, but let's see. All right, hide in slow. I'm going to say here, function, paren, and I'm just going to do a, I'll do here just an alert that says the hide and fade in have now completed. And if it doesn't work, it's probably because I somehow screwed up the syntax, but I hope I didn't. All right. Again, what's nice about this is you can add stuff to it, quickly check and see whether or not it works. Okay, well, I did screw up the syntax. It's pretty obvious. Should have known, because right away that changed, so it wasn't even recognizing that. And this hide slow, and it's possible that I can't put something in there that does that. I don't know. The idea, though, with a callback is what you're doing is you're adding something to the end. You're adding something to the end of a function. You're adding a function typically to a function, which says, hey, when I'm all done, I want you to do something. So that's back. All right. And I didn't like the examples that they gave in here because they're giving examples of things that literally don't work. All right. So let's do this before we go on, because I'm done with this particular document. jQuery callback function example. And as we get one from W3 Schools, maybe. There we go. All right. Let's add that. So we've got all this stuff in here. Now I'm going to add something else. And this says now all right, when you click a button, you should hide the associated paragraph. Once the paragraph has been hidden, all right, you should have an alert that says the paragraph is now hidden. Well, what does that mean? That means we have to add a couple things here, such as, well, how about first a paragraph? This paragraph should be hidden when the button is clicked. That would also necessitate us having a button. A little hard to read, so let's move these down. Okay, again, is it possible I made a mistake? Well, the way it's been working this morning, more possible or probable than anything else. Okay, there's the paragraph. Should be hidden when the button's clicked. Doggone it. Okay. We shouldn't have to worry about giving it an ID or a name, and that shouldn't be screwing anything up. But let's check. Don't have any idea why that wouldn't work. Huh. Well, let's look at the W3 Schools example. notice when you click, boom, they're gone. Okay, they just say button click me or whatever. That's pretty much what I did. Oh, I said input type equal button. That should not matter, but let's double check to be sure. Well, you see that it disappeared and we got the message. Value equal hide paragraph. Well, that wasn't good, was it? We don't need that value in there anymore. We should be able to say in here, value equal hide paragraph text. How about that? Just trying to clean this up a bit. All right. Didn't like that, so we'll just remove that hide paragraph text. How about there? Hide paragraph text. Hide paragraph text, there it is. Okay. Now, if we wanted all, we could have multiple paragraphs here. And notice, all of them have left. If we didn't want to do that, we could give those paragraphs an ID or a class, or probably a class, okay, etc. So if I only wanted to hide some paragraphs, notice I'm getting a message for each paragraph because there were 4 or 5, so they're now all hidden. All right, let's go on. I want to go over this document too pretty quickly. There's a couple more, and then we'll stop right here. These are both written by a guy named Louis Lazarus. And he says, in this article, I'll be introducing and laying the groundwork for advanced jQuery work. Then he says that jQuery is a library, and he asks, why should you use a library? Well, again, the mantra of jQuery is write less, do more. So the idea where jQuery is important, it overcomes browser differences. It should work the same on Internet Explorer as it does in Google Chrome, as it does in Mozilla Firefox, as it does in Opera, etc., etc. It allows totally unobtrusive JavaScript. So you can take all your jQuery and put it in an external file, just like you can do with regular JavaScript. All right, they keep this real simple. This is the text that you use to work with in this example. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab everything else that I have in here, and I'm going to comment it out. All right, so all they want us to put in there is this. We have a container, a div that's called a class of container. Whoops. And in there we've got an unordered list with just some things that say text here. Not real swanky, but it should be highly functional. Again, I'm going to come in here, and everything I did under document.ready, I am now going to comment out. All right, so all I'm leaving in here, in fact, let's do that. Commenting all that old stuff out. And for right now, that's all the jQuery I have in here. it should not be doing anything. It shouldn't be doing anything now, except we now have our new, oh, we can get rid of that too. Okay? But when I click this, now it does go there. There's no fading, there's no anything, because I've removed everything there was. So I can take that, comment that out also. So now all that should be in here is just my unordered list. And you can see that's indeed what's there. All right. So the author says if you wanted to use JavaScript to go through, let's do this, and then we'll go back and talk about it. All right, so I'm going to put just a script tag in here without jQuery, so this will be just a regular script tag. And now I'm putting in plain, generic, vanilla JavaScript. In other words, this is not jQuery. Try to pretty it up a bit so you can hopefully see what's going on in here. In English, what we're saying is find the second list item and make it blue. And I believe that's all that this particular bit of code is doing. Again, we can tell real quickly because all we have to do is run this. Shouldn't have to comment this out. Wouldn't know why we would have to. Oops. But I'm going to comment that out anyway. All right, so now all of our stuff, all that's in here is the JavaScript. And of course, it's not changing color. I would have thought, at least, that would have become blue. Oh, document, yeah, by tag name. So it's saying grab the UL, iterate your way through this. If you find the class name, if the class name equal list, class equal list, it's not working. Let's see if it works when we put in the actual jQuery instead. All right, so let's put that in. This is supposed to be a talk about jQuery anyway, so we'll just remove that. All right, we'll keep in this code. We'll put in this one line of text, and I'm going to uncomment what I have right there. Now, I want everything else that's in here to be commented out, other than the bottom here. All right, so this is saying if I've got a class list for a UL, grab the first child and add the CSS to it to make its background color blue. Let's see if that worked. Wow, did you ever just have one of those days? Tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to get rid of everything else that's in here. I'll clean this up substantially. And we don't need any of this now. We don't need any of this. All right, now it's a manageable size. Class equal container, UL class equal list. We're saying UL with a class of list, find the LI, and the first child of that, add a background color of blue. That looks to me like it's totally legit. code. The only thing is it's not working. Okay. Well, I'm just going to go forward. This sounds a little weird, but they're talking about when you want to understand jQuery, you've got to have an understanding of type selectors, class selectors, ID selectors, descendant selectors, child selectors, attribute selectors, CSS specificity, and the cascaded inheritance. Well, what's nice is the reason I gave you this article is they have hyperlinks throughout it. I should give you the link to the article. All right, I gave you that one. First one, I had that one that actually ended up working fairly well. This one, not so much so far. All right, so this is 6revisions.com. JavaScript, getting started with jQuery. And I'm not doing it justice. It says some JavaScript terms you probably will want to understand include object creation, properties of objects, object literals, functions as methods, anonymous classes, and closures. And again, there are some hyperlinks. We already know this, that you either have to use a CDN or something else to have, to put that in there for jQuery. I think I commented that out, did I? Ooh, what don't I have here anymore, folks? I don't have my link to jQuery. That's probably why it wasn't doing anything, at least for the jQuery. So let's go back. And earlier, we had found the Google jQuery CDN. I grabbed it from W3 Schools. Let's try to put that in. Put that in at the bottom. I had it there, but that's one of the things that I removed. So there's another script tag. So there it is. Let's see if that changed anything. No, it did not. Doggone it. Well, at least the example is more complete now. Not that that means diddly, but let's try a couple of these and just see if they work. All right. This is telling our list items to fade out and then fade back in. And we'll put that in, but we'll do it slowly. Again, this line didn't work, so let's try another line in here. Fade out, slow, and fade in, slow. And my guess is, if for some reason this does not work, then I've got an error in my code. Okay, not sure exactly where that is or what the error would be. But you'll notice they're not fading out and fading back in. So there is definitely something missing here. HTML, head, title, body, any body tag, any HTML tag, that all looks good. Div. That all looks okay. Script. They're not doing anything. And I'm looking at it, I'm looking for an error in here. This says find all li tags, which are here, and have them fade out slowly, and then have them fade back in slowly. All right. Now, do I have to go and set that up for when I click on them or whatever? I shouldn't have to. Let's just, we'll go on. back to this document that we had here, and we'll put in that. And we'll say when you click on an LI, this, I believe. Yep, this to hide this. Okay. Yeah, I'd like to show you something, and I'd like this for you to start to realize and appreciate the power of using this. I'm sure not having any luck. Running code when the DOM is ready. Put it in document.ready. All right, let's use their example here. Because it's doing pretty much what I told you I was trying to do. So what you're saying is when you start jQuery up here, so when it's ready, find your LI. I don't know what that A is supposed to be. Tell you what, let's leave it in and then we'll take it out and try it both ways. Script. I like to do things slow on the, like when they show that here, because it's, to me it's much easier. All right. They're not fading out or fading in. Well, I apologize for this. It'll get better. All right. jQuery documentation. There's a bunch of, what I liked about this, notice jQuery tutorials, 51 jQuery tutorials, 30 jQuery tutorials for complete beginners. All right. So you can take a look at that. Last thing I'm going to mention in this particular bit of taping is this is from the same author, Louis Lazarus. It says, not too long ago I wrote an article called Getting Started with jQuery. This article is the opposite. There's no concepts, no principles, very little lecturing, just code. So he says this is how you can link to it. We've already seen that. If you put this into a separate file, I haven't been doing that, but if you do, then your JavaScript code, jQuery code, is unobtrusive, meaning that it's going to be in its own file. All right, selecting elements. They give you some examples here. jQuery library allows you to select elements by wrapping them in the in the $sign, so we already have seen that. Now, for this to work, we would have to have some code like that. So let's create a paragraph, with an ID of my element. We'll keep the div in there. All right, I'm going to copy this 3 times. You'll see why, hopefully, in a second. I'm going to take out the ID. Now, that's pretty obvious what should happen when we run this. These don't do anything yet because there's been nothing at all that has been added to that. All right, but copy. So I want to come in here. I'm not going to worry about the LI or anything else. All right. Let's see. I want to add a class, and I want to make sure I'm giving you the right syntax. Add class content, and so let's make a class in here that we'll put in content. So style tag, ending style tag, dot content. So we'll say background color green, color gold, font size, how about font? And we'll say font, we'll do font size, and we'll just make it 3M. All right, if I did this right, for that particular paragraph, ideally at least, we should be adding that class. All right, if it doesn't work, I'm just ready to give up for right now. Good golly, I'm doing something elementary incorrect here. Script, document.ready, p, my element, add class content. There's the class, it's content. Everything looks good in there. My link to jQuery looks okay. This shouldn't matter, but I'm going to take it and put it back into here. This shouldn't matter a bit. Well, it did. All right, so it needed to be in that section there. That's so funny, it's sad. All right. But you notice that now what it did was it added that. So I could come in here and I could add, let's add another, we'll call this non-content. And we'll say for all of those, we'll give them a background, we'll reverse it. So the background color will be gold. The color will be green. And we'll give it a font family of cursive. So we want to come in here and say class. Wow, and that worked. But we said ID, and here that should have had a pound sign. Pound sign ID. Because ID is my element. No, but it's the class we wanted to add. That must be a class. I'm sorry. All right, so class equal non-content. Let's just try one of them and see if that works. There it is. Okay, I didn't change the size of the font. Let's come in here and I'll tell you what, let's comment out all this. We don't really, for now at least, need to see that unordered list. All right, so now all of those, there you go. Oh, it's so much nicer when things work. All right. So I showed you how you could manipulate some styles. You can add and you can remove different content. All right. Let's try this. I'm going to ask for an alert in here. And what am I asking for an alert for? Well, let's run it and see if it works, and then we'll go back and hopefully it'll just make some sense. This is the my element paragraph. That's from right here. This is the my element paragraph. All right. And notice for a second there we didn't have our because it literally did not yet come in and apply the styling, and that's because I asked the alert ran before the styling ran. The order in which those happened didn't matter. All right. Okay. jQuery works with events. So again, this says if you've got an anchor tag and you click it, you already saw that example. You can also work with it with blur, focus, hover, key download, etc. All right. Well, let's try this. I don't know if it'll do anything, but we're having more luck than we had earlier at least. All right, this says my element.hide. Right there. And then you want to call a function when you're all done to do something. And all that function is going to do is another alert that says the paragraph has been hidden. Okay. Okay. And that didn't work, did it? Let's grab the text, the stuff that we just put in there, that code. Whoops. And then let's comment that code out. All right, so now the only thing we have in here is telling it to hide that paragraph. Okay. Slowly. And once you do, okay. I think again it's a syntax thing. Yeah, that ends that. That ends that. That ends that. That ends that. Don't know if you need to put this here and then put this on the end or not. Doesn't show it in the syntax. Doesn't like it. Okay. I want to finish up. I'm already at, whoa, I'm almost at an hour here. So I'm going to stop right now, I think. All right, there's animation. Okay. That's part one. Not very impressive. I promise it'll get better. Please bear with me. In fact, when we get to the jQuery UI, we'll be using built-in code examples, and I think you'll really like it, and we've got some examples here. So I'll be back with part two in just a minute.